Is overtaking 5 cars okay, and do you know what the difference in the white centre lines mean, or the question that I'm asking and going to be discussing in this clip today, and how this situation would affect liability if there was a collision whilst overtaking. If you enjoy my content and my liability reviews, please do make sure to hit the follow button. The reason I'm making this video is in the caption of the original video, the rider themselves is asking the question if overtaking 5 cars is okay and whether they displayed good riding. Normally I wouldn't have an issue with overtaking 5 cars, providing that it's safe to do so and you can complete the overtake in the distance that you can see that it is clear ahead to be able to complete the overtake. However, in this particular video, I do have something to critique which would likely lead to a split liability outcome had there been a collision. At the start of the video, before the overtake is initiated, we see a sign showing that there is a junction coming up on the right hand side of the road. As the overtake begins, we also see the centre lines go from shorter lines and spaced out to longer lines closer together, which tells road users that they're approaching a hazard ahead. What would happen if one of those cars turned right into that junction across the path of the overtaken motorcyclist? Who would you be blaming? I think a lot of people instinctively would be holding the motorcyclist at fault for overtaking on approach to a junction, but the car driver likely wouldn't be blame free. The highway code says that you shouldn't overtake on approach to a junction, but it does also say when you're turning right, you should be doing the appropriate checks to ensure that you're not being overtaken. Essentially, you should be checking that it is safe and appropriate to turn right into a junction by checking your door mirror with a sideways glance and, if necessary, checking over your shoulder into your blind spot. So if a collision was to occur with a motorcyclist overtaking a car that was turning right into a junction, you would probably find that liability would be shared equally between the motorcyclist and the car turning right. There may be some people who will have noticed that I didn't mention the rider's speed. They are speeding, but speed is very rarely, if ever, the proximate cause of a collision. It's often a contributory for sure, but all road users have to assess other road users' speed. If you're turning right into a minor road and you come into the path of a speeding, overtaken vehicle, you're going to be asked if you knew they were speeding, why did you make the manoeuvre? Because if you did the appropriate checks, you would be able to see that they were speeding because you'd observe their speed by doing those checks. So to wrap this up and give a conclusion, is overtaking 5 cars bad? No, not necessarily, but you have to do it in a safe manner, and doing it where there is a junction is probably not best practice and can often lead to bad outcomes. Lovely jubbly, sound as a pound.